Carol, do we look through this trading day? I mean, how much can you really read into the price action today, given that everyone's just kind of on tenterhooks waiting for tomorrow to go by and waiting for some kind of outcome to this election?
I think you're spot on. I think the other thing is just sensitivity, right, to headlines or to whether or not, a poll or something is saying the vote's going to go one way or another. And listen, ultimately we won't know, and we might not know 24 hours from now. So it's going to be interesting. But, get traders set up on Wall Street and around the globe. They're going to play the volatility trade. That's for sure.
They are. And I think, everybody's kind of talking about the election tomorrow and the aftermath of that. But don't forget, Jay Powell and company they're sharpening their pencils, getting ready to do a one-day delayed Fed meeting. So we'll get a Fed decision on Thursday. I'd say it's a pretty busy week, guys.
But I mean, does anyone expect the Fed to do anything other than the 25 basis point cut they're determined to do regardless of the data? Like, that's what they're going to do, right?
You heard from Elizabeth Warren earlier today calling on the Fed to...
Every month she does that.
That's
Every month Elizabeth writes that letter.
50 basis points is what she wants to see.
Well, Citigroup's Veronica Clark did say that she expects the Fed to cut by 50 basis points in December. I mean, November is pretty much going to be a done deal with 25 basis points. In any case, that is on Thursday. We're still on Monday right now, and we're closing here with losses in the major equity indexes. The Dow Industrials losing 0.6%. Matt is all obsessed with it because it's going to have NVIDIA soon and Sherwin-Williams, but less than Sherwin-Williams.
And that's because, on the morning show that I co-anchor with Katie Greifeld and Janali Bassick, it's called
that's enough.
Every day from 9 to 11. Anyway, the ladies on the show always poo-poo the Dow. They call it a silly index. They can't understand why it's price-weighted. And it's hard for me to argue against them when you see S&P putting Sherwin-Williams in there instead of Dow Chemical. But it does make sense that they put NVIDIA in instead of Intel. I think it really helps them regain some relevance.
All right, and of course, declines in the NASDAQ and the S&P too. The Russell 2000, kind of the outlier here, gaining 0.4% as investors flock to small caps, at least for today.
Hey, quick check on the big caps, guys. And you've got not quite an even split, but a little bit more positivity. 271 names gaining ground on this Monday, 230 to the downside, and Matt, 2 unchanged.
All right, let's take a look at which sectors or industries are doing better than others. On a day when a lot of people have declared the Trump trade over and done with, you do see energy kind of leading the way. And that makes sense with the underlying commodity up 3%, oil that is. Consumer staples are also up, but pretty much everything else is down. You can see that communication services is down, consumer discretionary is down, financials, IT. So it's really energy that leads the way with this 3% rally in crude.
All right, so seeing a lot of red there on the IMAP. Let's get to some of the individual gainers. Matt mentioned NVIDIA, and this one rallying. It was up as much as 2.6% today, tempering or pulling that back a little bit with a gain of about 0.5%. So, but of course, that news Friday after the closing bell, the S&P Dow Jones indices saying that that company, NVIDIA, will replace rival Intel in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So quite a change of time, or changing times, I should say, for Intel. Intel out, NVIDIA in. So we've seen some movement into that name. Hey, what's interesting, Matt, you mentioned, Scarlett mentioned, the political trade, the Trump trade, pulling back on that today. So you saw the solar names rallying in today's session. Take a look at Invesco Solar ETF. 10 is the ticker, and that one is up about 3.25% in today's trade. I think we've got some earnings crossing.
We do. We have Wynn Resorts crossing right now, and it looks like third quarter adjusted EPS does miss analyst estimates. 90 cents was the reported number. Analysts were looking for north of $1 at 103 specifically. Operating revenue also coming in lighter than anticipated, $1.69 billion. Analysts were looking for $1.73 billion. And in terms of the Las Vegas operations, which is only part of it, right, because it very much depends on what's going on in Macau and in China. Las Vegas operations, the revenue there was $607 million, lighter than what was anticipated, which was $610. So both on the Las Vegas side and it appears on the international side, when reporting a miss. The stock not moving in after hours trading. Actually ticking lower right now.
All right, down about 3%. Wynn Resorts. We'll keep an eye on that, and we'll watch for some other earnings. I mentioned, though, the Invesco Solar ETF. We really did see, tariff-sensitive industries gained, solar firms gained, prison and cryptocurrency companies slumping today as investors paired bets on a Donald Trump win. So I just wanted to mention that. And just one more for you, speaking of the elections, Trump Media. This one was down 5.5%, up 17% at its highs, finishing the day with about a 12% gain. And so just wanted to point that out. as
You know,
we
so
kind of watch the back and forth on
that
one.
Trump trade narrative doesn't work here, right? Because the Trump media DJT is higher.
That's what I said to Tim. I go, wait a minute. I said, you should probably do Trump as a decliner. He's like, it's up. And so I don't know, kiddo. I don't know.
Trump trade narrative could be hogwash, right? It could be just us making something up to try and explain what we don't quite understand.
No, I actually think when there's, you think when there's optimism or polling that's saying one thing or another, you do see play out in the markets.
Yeah, it's just not consistent across asset classes, at least for today.
The Trump media one too is one that's shorted a lot. So I think there's a couple things up.
It's like doubled this year.
I know it's up. Yeah.
Yeah, they less
Up
than $1
more than
million,
90%.
less than $1 million in revenue in its most recent report, guys.
But it's a $6 billion company.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so it's a little
Yeah, vagaries
Detached,
of the market.
I think people would argue detached from fundamentals, and they wouldn't be wrong.
nicely done.
True.
Hey, let's go to some decliners today. This is not hogwash. Marriott International falling 1.6%, falling the most intraday in nearly 3 months, though, off of those losses. The hotel company cut its adjusted earnings per share guidance for the full year. We also saw them record earnings per share of $2.26. That was lower than the average analyst estimate of $2.31, according to data compiled by Bloomberg. The New York Times shares falling today by more than 7%. This after the company reported third quarter revenue and subscriptions that fell short of analyst expectations. The company's tech workers also went on strike the day before the 2024 presidential election. The Times added 260,000 digital subscriptions, down from 300,000 in the second quarter.
All right, we are looking at hims and hers, appropriately, I think, renamed to express the importance of both genders in taking pills. Their third quarter revenue beat estimates. So, of course, this is a company that makes, I don't want to say knockoff, but off-label.
There you go.
Medicine for people who are having problem with hair loss or erectile dysfunction. In any case, third quarter EPS was 32 cents. There was last year a loss per share of 4 cents. They've done incredibly well in this market. In terms of orders, they missed. So net orders were 2.66 million. The estimate was for 2.8 million. So maybe the street was a little bit too pumped up on orders, but we do see a beat on third quarter revenue, $401.6 million. The street was only looking for $382.2 million.
All right,
pretty small numbers.
Let's get to one that's really been outperforming this year, Palantir, which is up 140% here in 2024. Well, this company reporting record profit, citing unwavering AI demand. So reporting record quarterly revenue. It beat analyst estimates, raised its forecast for operating income in the current period, citing specifically high demand in the United States for its artificial intelligence software. Third quarter sales increased 30% to $725.5 million. Analysts on average were looking for about $703.7 million, so easily a big beat there. Palantir also reported net income of $144 million, as I said, a record for the company, and you can see that stock, despite outperformance here in 2024, another 10% higher here in the aftermarket.
Also up 10% is the real. Shares are higher after hours after the company raised its fiscal year guidance. Third quarter revenue also coming in above estimates at $148 million. Estimates were for $140.3 million. The company still sees fiscal year revenue of $595 million to $602 million. The estimate was for $586.5 million. Once again, shares in the after hours up by 8.5%.
Yeah, and this may speak to the idea and the way that people shop and how it's changing, especially as consumers grapple with inflation. This idea of the circular shopping experience.
I think this is something like, it's so interesting to talk about, and I've heard Carol and Tim talk about this on previous episodes of Business Week, but the bottom line is it's a business in which you really can't scale. I mean, there's no way to make a lot of money in this business, and that's why it's only worth $330 million.
But it's doing well even at that level, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is outperforming this year. It's, I'm just taking a look, up almost 52% here.
But it's only worth $330 million in total market cap. We spend most of the day talking about trillion-dollar companies. It's not even worth $1 billion.
But how many investment advisors come on and say, we got to look at the small caps, right? We want to see the market, breath widen out. I'm just,
It's a tiny cap,
They need
but interesting.
But we're looking at across the market, right?
Yeah.
All right, we're looking at shares of Cleveland Cliffs in the after hours. Pulling them up on the Bloomberg terminal right now. Shares are getting pulled up on my terminal. right now.
Third quarter revenue missing estimates, Tim.
Yeah, down 5%. Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
stock
that.
down about 5%. Yeah.
Okay,
Slow,
yeah.
Slow in the delay here.
$4.6 billion in third quarter revenue. Analysts were looking for $4.74 billion. And the continuing loss per share was 52 cents. Analysts were looking for earnings per share of 50. No, that was last year. Earnings per share of 52 cents. Good. We're not comparing like with like here. We're just giving you for this past quarter and the year ago period.
Yeah, a little slow to come, so we're trying to work our way through these numbers. Third quarter revenue, 4.6, so that was a bit of a miss. 4.74 was what the street was expecting. So that stock is down about 3.5%. It's down 35%, 36% this year, Tim.
All right, there it is.
Yeah. All right. A little bit of earnings, guys. All right.
You guys ready for tomorrow?
Matt, you have any other comments?
Well, I love your show because I listen to you guys almost every single day. So I've heard a lot about the circular
what I'll
economy.
say?
I'm interested in it too, but it's just not one that makes a lot of money.
Flattery will get you everywhere.
We'll leave it on that note.
Matt, the Real is calling. They want to talk to you.
I got to check it out. I want to see what they have.
All right. Talk to your wife. She probably knows about the Real. I'm just saying. All right, guys, that's a wrap. Our cross-platform coverage, radio, TV, YouTube, Bloomberg Originals. We do it all. We will see you again, same time, same place tomorrow.